Welcome to All Music Matters in That, a podcast for all things related to music. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like and comment below and consider subscribing so you can show your support and join today so you can see more content like this in the future. And now, let's get into the episode.
But yeah, just the act of doing something you're passionate about is honoring. And I always tell people, they're like, what do we do? What do we do now that this person is gone? And it's like, you're going to make them proud. You're going to honor them, by living your life, by doing the things that are inside of you to do, and trying to make your corner of the world a better place because you're giving back what was given to you. So it's kind of a big thing for us and a big driving force.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And with me today is Eric Henninger. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Henninger. You almost had it. Perfect.
Henninger. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Also, aka known as Drum Addict. That's part of your YouTube personality, right?
Yeah.
How you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing good, Brian. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's an honor, man.
No worries. For this one, I really wanted to get to kind of know musicians and particularly drummers at first, and just to kind of start it off. So I wanted to just get to know you a little bit. So why don't we just lead into the first question? Tell us about yourself, your drum business, as I recently found out, and your YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. So in terms of in drumming, I started playing when I was 12. So that was like 1987, and I've been dating myself in some of these interviews, putting dates on things. So I've been playing for a while and took lessons with a wonderful teacher, Paul Stoll. Just recently got back in touch with him, and dude, I grew up listening to a lot of contemporary Christian music. So I would just sit down in the basement on my drums and put little ear protectors on and blasted the music through an amplifier. I had to have driven my parents crazy. But I love playing. Mom will still tell you today, she's like, I never had to tell Eric to go practice. I just loved it. And I had planned to go study music. But then I was kind of like my dad, who was a very practical man, but a really great guy. And later in his life, he's like, I totally get Eric's artistic side. But he was like, you really need to do something that you can make money with, So that kind of shifted the plan for me, and which was okay because a lot of good things came out of the redirection. But then I just kind of played in church a lot, and I tried to play in a couple local bands, and with none of it really panned out, but it was a lot of fun and always a learning experience. And then I for a couple of years when Loretta and I got married, we didn't have a place for the drums, so I didn't play except for at church once a month. So when we planned on moving down to North Carolina, where we are now, there was a room in the house that we were going to use for storage, and Loretta, because she's an amazing woman, was like, why don't we turn that into a studio for your drums? And so then the Drum Addict was kind of born out of that. And we had said we wanted to, what can we do that's different than just playing covers? So we wanted to we've both been through a lot of stuff in our lives. And so we thought, well, if we can share a little bit about why we picked a song and kind of be transparent about our stories, our struggles and the pain in life, along with the hope and the faith that we found, and just leave a positive impact on the viewers that are willing to stick around after the cover to listen to us ramble. Then that's what we wanted to do, and so that's how all that came about, and we just love doing it. And more recently, Loretta had wanted to pick a song and share. at the end of, that song. And I've loved that because it's, you can only look at this so much, and she's way better looking than I am. So it's nice to have her on the camera. And, but she does, she does all the camera work for us. And she reminds me, she'll be like, don't we need to film this weekend? I'm like, oh, crud. Yeah, we do. We do need to film this weekend. So anyway, then that, I guess, segues into the Attic Custom drums, which just started with me I just wanted to try to build one just for me, and I still play that on my kit a lot. It's kind of an odd size. It's 5 3/4. That was the only shell that I could find at the time. Birch. It's a birch. So 5 3/4 by 14 birch. I think it's 6-ply with 6-ply re-rings. And, I like to work now with like no re-rings just because I like the idea that the wood itself, the shell itself is strong enough to be a snare drum. And, but I was like, I was going to do this for myself. And I just really enjoyed the process. Or as I was getting into it, I was like, I'm going to film this, and use it as like a what not to do. And in the meantime of planning all that, I was talking to my buddy, Marcus Drums, and he said, well, like some of these companies like SJC and there were a couple others, I can't remember who they were. He's like, but they're getting their shells from Keller Shells in Manchester, New Hampshire, and or from Nordic Shells, which is owned in part by I'm going to say it, you say the wrong name, Bill Dedamore over at Pork Pie. And then they're just customizing them. And I was like, well, I could do that. Like we could do that, right? And so that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And then the first build we did, it had all kinds of cosmetic errors, because I was just kind of trying to figure it out. And you learn quick, though, when you blow out the inside of a shell. You learn really quickly how to make sure that doesn't happen again. But it sounds killer, man. And so we got some interest. Marcus Drums reached out to us and wanted us to build one for him, which was a huge leap of faith, on his part. And then that opened a couple more doors. And then we built one for Drumman 190 and Joey Clark drums, as well as some other channels as well. And, but those two guys did some big reviews, and we got more orders from that. So it's been an exciting start to a small business. So we're just excited for where it's going to take us.
That's pretty cool. It's funny you mentioned Drumman 190 because that was actually how I found out about you too. That's when you guys did that collaboration video together. I think it was Revolution Radio by Green Day, right?
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. And who was it that was moving the camera, kind of moving it back and forth a little bit there?
Oh, that's Loretta.
That was Loretta?
Yeah. And she's recently gotten extra bold, and she's been moving around behind the kit. And it's not a big space. So for her to get back behind the kit to get a shot like that involves hunching over the walls are like sloped like, like this. And you coming down around behind, and trying to get that shot. But yeah, she's great. And I think at the time when we started, that was one thing that we felt like was setting us apart visually. And then I started seeing other guys doing it, and I'd be like, oh, because I love the way it looks. I'd be like, man, I love the moving camera. And we'd get comments like, oh, yeah, I totally stole that idea from you guys. Or I made my wife help me because I said Eric's wife helps him,
You get the woman to do it.
That's right, especially if she's good at it, So yeah, but it's fun. I love that moving camera. I would be okay. It might get boring for everybody else, but in terms of editing, I would be okay if it was just that camera.
Do a whole 360 around it.
Yeah, exactly. That would be cool. I wish we could do that.
But you said he also made a kit for Drumman 190. Is that the kit he's still using in his covers?
Made a what? Oh, just a snare drum.
Just a snare drum.
Yeah, and he's so like any snare drum, you're going to kind of use what works for tone for you. But in the last couple of videos, I think Love Sucks and the collaboration he did with Rich Raw Dog Drums, the Warning by Green Day. I think he had it on for both of those, and he's given us some great feedback, and he's been a big promoter of ours, and we just appreciate that so much.
Yeah, I did see the Green Day one with what did you say the guy's name was?
Rich Raw Dog Drums
Rich Raw
is
Dog
the
Drums.
channel's name. Yeah,
Yeah, it definitely had a lot of pump to it. That's what I want to call it.
yeah, it did. I love Green Day. Rich has an Edit custom snare drum too, which is turned out really really beautiful. It's got custom decaling work on it, and it's really good. So we'll be hearing some covers with that from him in a while. So that's exciting.
You say you live in North Carolina. Where you at? Are you close to like Charlotte?
We're about, I think, 3 hours from Charlotte. We're closer to Asheville. We're in a little town called Brevard, in the mountains.
Yeah, actually, I always pass through Asheville when me and my parents, we go down to Georgia for a little bit. But Asheville, I was in Asheville for a little bit, and that's where we saw a lot of the music artists come out. It was like let's say, smaller version of like Nashville was. You ever been to Asheville before?
I've spent not a ton of time there, but been through there, and I feel like our little town Brevard is kind of like a smaller offshoot of that. It's just this area is such a big artistic community, from music, to like visual arts, filmmaking, painting, drawing. I mean, all of it. It's just amazing. And in fact, one of our good friends is on board with us, and so when somebody wants to do like a custom paint job, on a drum, he's our go-to guy. And I tell people, I was like, well, let me get a quote from our artist. Like, and it's not just like a friend who likes to draw in his notebook. Like this guy, Billy Smith, is the real deal. He makes his living painting and drawing and doing these things. He's been, what's the word? Not hired, but
Freelance?
Commissioned to do like several, big pieces around Brevard and the surrounding area. And he's working on one right now that we're not saying a lot about, because we think it's going to be a game changer in what is able to be done.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, but I'm excited to get it back from him, because he's been keeping me updated, and I've been keeping our customer updated. But I can tell you who it's for. It's Michael J. Drum Channel. Cool dude. We just did a collab with him on Pearl Jam's Even Flow a few weeks ago. But it's going to be sick, dude. Like, I mean, I'm excited. Like, you kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like in your head, and then our artist just always exceeds those expectations. And I'm always like, not surprised, but just awestruck at what he's able to do. And so I can't wait to share that one, because I really think that a lot of people are going to go, holy crap, I can do that on a snare drum. So I think it's going to open some more doors for him and for us. So it's exciting.
All right, that's going to be pretty cool. I'm sorry to get off script, but how many rings do you have? And are you a mob boss, I should say?
Oh, yes, I am a mob boss. No, that's not true. So I just found this one today. I forgot I had it. This is a Green Lantern ring. So that's kind of fun. Of course, my wedding ring. And then this one my wife just bought me. We were in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I just thought it was cool. And then when you're bald, there's not a lot of ways to change up your look, right? So it's hats, rings, necklaces, bracelets, like just to change it up. And then these two are special. This was my son and I had matching rings. And I don't know if you've seen any of our channel, but he passed away 6 years ago. And then this was my dad's ring with the Greek letters for Jesus on there. And he just passed away last year. Mm-hmm. So I wear those every day. So they remind me to keep my promise to them, to make them proud and to honor them with what we do. And part of that also came into play with the drums we're building for our series. Like, so we have the dedication series, which is our first line, and each one of them is dedicated to somebody like my son or my dad, just kind of in their honor. And it's been fun putting those together, just to pay tribute. It's been cool.
Well, that's also what you do with your YouTube channel, right? You also dedicated to them?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's before my son died, we had spent a lot of time talking about doing what we're passionate about, and and I would always tell him, I'm like, the your talent that you have and these dreams you have of doing things like aren't there by accident. I believe that like God put them there and they're there for a reason. And so you use them, not only for yourself, but to try to make the world a better place in your own little way, And so after he passed, to say I was hell bent on it would be an understatement. Like I was like, we're going to figure out what we're going to, how do I do this? How do I make this? And I've dabbled in so many different things that I love, theater and filmmaking and teaching and all these wonderful things. But the drums, man, from the time I was 12 years old, has just been the place where I feel alive when I do it. And so we try not to like on the channel, we try not to like overdo it. Like I don't ever want people to be like, we get it, your kid died, like move on. And but I do, like we'll occasionally, do a song and dedicate it to somebody. And but just doing it, just the doing it. And we talk about mental health on our channel, which is important to both of us. I've got PTSD and um, anxiety, and Loretta deals with some of that stuff too. And so we try to always be not every time, but we keep that on people's radar too. And we have an ongoing fundraiser at our spring store. We have 2 T-shirt designs, and 100% of the profits from those goes to support To Write Love on Our Arms, which is a great organization helping people that struggling with mental health of different things. But yeah, just the act of doing something you're passionate about is honoring. And I always tell people, they're like, what do we do? What do we do now that this person is gone? And it's like, you're going to make them proud. You're going to honor them, by living your life, by doing the things that are inside of you to do, and trying to make your corner of the world a better place because you're giving back what was given to you. So it's kind of a big thing for us, and a big driving force, for us too. So,
Yeah, I'm really sorry about your loss, buddy.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's definitely a good thing too. And like, I think most people who come like on YouTube, they'll say like, I want to try to get to 1,000, which is pretty much a threshold now to get like the Google ads and I guess all the other perks that come with it. So it's
Right.
like I just want to kind of get there and then just like try to make a living off of that. I think yours is definitely one that gives you motivation to like go out, do videos and stuff like that. So I would
Yeah.
say we'll come back to that one in a little bit. That will be the last question for a final message for drummers out there. But
Okay.
for the next one, you did kind of talk about your drum set. Do you have it behind you at all, or is it?
I don't, because my internet connection is better in the office than it is um, in in um, in the drum attic. But I'm playing, and if you want, I don't know if this helps, but I can send you a video later to put in if you want to. But I'm playing 2 up, 2 down, 10, 12, 14, 16 with a 22-inch kick, Saturn Mapex Evolution kit in a Tuscan red, which is beautiful, with a with a black nickel, rims and stuff, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I can't. I have to always have to tell this story when I talk about it. But I was talking with a friend of mine about, we were looking at getting another kit or a new kit, upgrading from kind of an intermediate level kit to a pro level kit. And as you know, that's expensive. And so we were like, okay, how do we do this without, financially crippling us for 6 months? But I was talking to this friend of mine just about like Tama versus Mapex, and everybody's got an opinion, of course. And they're all good drums. Everybody's high-end drums are good drums. It's just what you're looking for and the sound you want. And so anyway, so I've been looking at the Mapex Saturn Evolutions and chatting with my friend about it. And he called me up one day and he goes, "Hey man, I'm going to buy that kit for you. I just want to bless you guys. I love what you're doing, and you guys sharing your story really, touches my heart, and I just want to give back." And I was like, holy crap. I was like, dude, look, I was not talking to you about drums to try to get something out of you. He's like, I know. And if you were, you deserve it because I'm not manipulated very easily, you know. And so that was a huge, you know, a huge. I've said the word a couple times now, but a huge blessing, you know, to us to have this nice kid in there. And I absolutely love it. It sounds great. It stays in tune. And you do have to tweak it. It's easy to, you know, it's just easy to get to fine tune it. And then I'm playing right now. I've got a 21-inch Sabian hand hammered raw bell ride on the ride cymbal. Obviously, love that cymbal. Eventually, I want to try. I want to get a either a K like hybrid custom or a sweet ride. I'm not sure yet, but then I've got 17, 18, 19A customs, and then I do have a little 14A custom that I kind of trade out with a little stack over there, and then I've got Zildjian 14-inch quick beat hi-hats that I think I bought in like 1989, and they have been my favorite hi-hats through my life. And what makes them unique is the bottom cymbal is flat, and so it doesn't have like a bell on it, and it's got 4 holes in it. So like the air pushes out really quick. It doesn't get trapped in a bell. So they're really fast and really crisp. You know, there's none of that whoop, whoop sound as they close. It's just all the time. And so I've tried other hats, and I just keep coming back to those. And I typically use Evans heads, but I still got the Mapex Remo heads, you know, on there. And then I've got of course I've got our 5 3/4 by 14 birch shell that I play a lot, and I have a 7 by 13 brass snare from Pork Pie, and then a little 10-inch Mapex that I've had for years in terms of gear.
I'm gonna say you have it all, don't you?
Yeah, just really fortunate. Like honestly, some of it's been accumulated over time. And when I bought, and I still have like the Tamas that I had. I don't know if you've done any kind of deep, you don't have to, but any deep digging into some old videos. But I had a Tama Star Classic kit up there, which I bought. Because I gave the set that I had that I told my son, you can play this, you know, you can keep this when we finally get a new kit. And I gave it to his best friend. And I kind of have had my heart was in the right place at the time, but I kind of had sometimes struggle with some regrets about getting rid of that kit just because it was special, you know. It was a pretty Sonar kit. It was really nice. So I've had the Tama since then, and so right now we've got them over at the church. So I still get to play them, and they look really great on the stage over there. So yeah, but it's drums are expensive, man. It's a tough hobby. Like it's fine if you don't ever upgrade anything, but you play long enough, and you know your $300 cymbal is going to break. You know, and you can drill it, file it, whatever, and it's not going to sound the same, you know, ever again. So it's tough. And then I suffer from a disease called everything has to match. So like I love my Sabian ride, but it's killing me that it's the only Sabian on the kit, which is stupid. And they're both, because Zildjian and Sabian, I feel like it's apples and apples. It's just the look you like and the sound you like. I'm a very visual guy too, so I'll be like, ooh, that looks cool. I wonder how it sounds, you know, and then try to find some videos on it.
You try to put in like any percussion in there, kind of like how Neil Peart had his. Yeah, like the chimes, the bells. I guess another set that was like a little bit more tuner down, or however you want to call it. But you ever tried something like that yet?
Man, a long time ago. Somewhere I've got a picture of it. I had like a set of LP bongos off to the side of my kit. I've got a cowbell, and I want to get a mountable tambourine because there's some stuff I want to do with that. But and I had chimes long ago, and especially if you were like playing in church at a certain time, I mean, you had to have chimes, you know, because anytime somebody's talking about rain or wind, you want to, you know, go run over those, and people are like, ooh, that sounded really neat. But I like percussion stuff. I've played, with rain sticks before, which are super fun in the right context, and congas, and just there's all kinds of fun stuff. Shakers. There's a couple songs we've done that where I've kind of gone in and re-recorded like shakers or tambourines, over the top, just to add some more presence to it. But I don't know, man. I really like just sitting behind the kit, and I'm lucky to do that with any amount of decency. Like I can't imagine how Neil Peart even like or Peart or ever like.
Neil Peart. But
Okay, yeah, I was like, did I say it right? So I thought I would throw both out there so nobody can be upset with me when they watch this. How I don't know. You look at these huge kits, and it's like I wouldn't even know where to start with that. I mean, I would just still be like, just trying to lay down the groove
we
because
just
it's
start with the simple hi-hat, snare, and bass. Just start off with simple ones, then eventually
yeah,
expand to everything else.
and all the other stuff's great, but like really, it's all about the groove. I worked with a producer one time who said, I'd rather have the drummer in here that can boom and never get off tempo for 10 minutes over, the, guy. All that stuff's cool and it's great, but it's not practical, and I've always kind of thought of myself as, in my default self-deprecating way, as just like a meat and potatoes drummer. If you're not coming to the drum attic to go, holy crud, that guy can play. It's just, you're coming because you like the songs we're picking and you like that I play in the pocket or try to anyway. So I'll leave the fancy, flashy stuff for the really good drummers.
I guess, which drummer influenced you the most growing up? Because you said you came out of the 80s, so that was the thrash metal era. I guess there was also glam metal. There's still some of the classic rock groups still playing at that time too. So I guess which
Yeah.
drummer or drummers influenced you the most?
I love this question because I think that I have the most unique answers that are out there because growing up in the church and my cutting my musical teeth, pop, rock, and metal were all in the Christian music realm. So it was a whole different set of guys. I know everybody's like John Bonham or Buddy Rich and all these guys, and I know who all those people are, and I'm familiar with a certain amount of their work. But for me, the number one guy who really influenced me was his name is Chris Mchugh. I was introduced to him on an album called "Don't Wait for the Movie" by a band called Whiteheart, and then he's gone on to he played with other Christian acts, but he's gone on to be one of the biggest session players in Nashville. He tours with Keith Urban. He plays on all his albums. He plays on almost, but not quite, everything that comes out of Nashville. He's just such an in-demand guy. And then what I liked about him, and probably why I consider myself a meat and potatoes drummer, is the guy's phenomenal, but his whole approach is serve the artist, serve the song, and those two things are best served with groove, and you can stick in a flashy fill that doesn't take away, that's cool too, but and he just would play with it. He just had this, I mean, he was just all focused on the work, and but I loved his drumming because you could just depend on it. It didn't push and pull. It was just rock steady, and he was the number one. And there was another guy. His name was David, or probably still is. I'm assuming he's still alive. It's not like I'm that old that everybody's dying now. But it's David Huff, and he played with Michael W. Smith and some other artists. But him and his brother Dan Huff, Dan, who's a big session player in Nashville to this day, they had a band called Giants. I think early '90s maybe. But I just liked the way he played too. And also very similar in style to Chris Mchugh, just serving the song, serving the artist. And I think those are the guys that get the biggest gigs, because that's what artists are looking for. I'm not a big solo guy. If somebody just said solo, I'd be like, right now?
Drum solo.
Yeah, yeah. Which, as you can imagine, playing in church doesn't happen very often.
Nope.
Nobody's usually big on wanting the drummer to cut loose. Like, just hold it down, man. You're lucky you're here. Not our church is cool about that. Like, but like growing up in that, you went through all of the rock music is of the devil thing, and especially Christian rock because they're using the devil's music. And drums in church. I
No.
don't think so. Yeah, this was tough.
And bring out the power of Christ compels you. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
They're going to throw holy
right.
water on you now.
Exercise the drum demons out of you. Yeah.
He's playing a drum solo. Here we go. I'm keeping it cool here, buddy. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Like, we'll throw this holy water on you in time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All is forgiven.
That's right.
Tell me about your church. This one's a little off script, but tell me about your church. Do you play during like some of the hymns and stuff?
Yeah. So we go to our church is Destiny Church here in Brevard. Super cool. Just if you don't mind, a little backstory. When we came here, we had been. I'm always very careful to not like try to badmouth anyone, but the story is we just been really hurt at our church, which it's not a Christian problem. That's a human problem. Like I've been hurt by people that don't claim to love Jesus, like so, but it's worse, I think, when it comes from people that you expect to kind of respond on a certain level and then they disappoint you and it's hurtful. Excuse me. So we were kind of like, maybe we don't need to go to church. Not because we don't love Jesus anymore, but we just don't want to go to church. But when we'd come, we'd visit the church that my parents have been going to, which is Destiny Church. And we were just like, the people there, I've never experienced this on a church level where everybody was genuinely kind and glad to see you. And mom and dad talked us up. So I was like, stop telling people that we do cool stuff. Like, because churches are notorious for just kind of using you up until you're burned out, and this church hasn't been like that. They were like, hey, listen, we know you guys do media stuff. We know you're a drummer. We'd love to get you involved, but we're not going to ask you again. When you guys feel like getting involved, you just let us know. And then very good about working within our comfort level. And I'd be like, I'll do twice a month. That's as much as I want to do. And then, so they're like, we'll schedule you twice a month, but it's open. If you want to come in and play on a day you're not scheduled, please come on in. So it's been cool. And to have people that are genuinely interested in you, and love you for you and not because of what you bring to the table, is a really cool thing. That I had experienced not in large levels at our church in Kentucky where we moved from. With some people, yeah, I don't want to like throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, but anyway, so yeah, dude. So it's pretty much a pretty contemporary service. That's feel like a church word to use for like we're cool and hip. Come to our church, we're rocking. But it really is. I enjoy playing there. They do a service like once. I want to say one Sunday night a month where somebody else comes in and leads, and it is just hymns and as I've gotten older, I've developed a much deeper appreciation and love for the hymns, and tried to educate the generation older than me that hymns were really kind of pretty they were the rock and roll for the church of the day because a lot of them came from popular bar melodies and so and it's so, but I love them. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and I get particularly emotional like when I know that a hymn was a favorite of like my granddaddy or my dad, and you're like, yeah, this is good stuff, and it moves you emotionally. But mostly we do like more modern stuff from places like Elevation, Church and Bethel Church, places like that. But it's growing and it's exciting. We have a really cool media program and we've done some stuff with them. But yeah, dude, I play. I think this coming month I'm playing every Sunday this month, which is just not normal. but it's okay. I always enjoy it. Even there's mornings, I'll be honest with you, there's mornings I don't want to go to church because it's early, especially if you got to play. And I'm like, maybe I just call in today. I know nobody will judge me. So that's a freeing thing.
Yeah.
But then anytime I go, I've never left church going, yeah, I wish I had slept in. Like I always enjoy it. And some of that is the people are just great. The people on stage are fantastic musicians, and feel honored to share a stage with them. And the pastor's a really cool guy, and just upfront and honest about stuff, but he's so approachable. Some pastors have that, I am the pastor, like it is me and then Jesus, and he totally doesn't have that vibe to him at all. He's like, I'm a human being. I am not perfect. I just want to know God more. You're like, cool. That's kind of how we should all be approaching this thing, So we love it, man. We love it. Of course, right after we moved here, we had a few months and then COVID hit. So we were watching church, same church, but online. We go over to mom and dad's on Sunday, Sunday afternoon, have lunch and watch. But we're really thrilled to be a part of what's going on there at Destiny. It's awesome.
They'll probably do like a Monty Python kind of thing. It'd be like, I am your conscience. Listen to me.
Yeah, that's right.
This is your conscience, Eric.
I've been growing up in the church, dude. I have like senator people that act like that, and or they'll be like preach their opinion like it's the Bible, and people are like, that sounded like the Bible, and they jump on board, and I'm all about like thinking for yourself. Maybe that's crazy, but like don't believe something just because somebody told you. Like, look, research and I believe what I believe because I've experienced it. You know what I mean? Because I've seen God's goodness in my life, even in the dark times. Mm-hmm. It's not because mom and dad said this is what we believe, or because a pastor was like, you need to love Jesus. Yeah. I found that life is far more not black and white, than you kind of thought as a kid. In or out of the church, life's a complicated, messy venture, and so anyway.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Let's jump now to the business. Okay, yeah. You just got an order. Let's just say it's from me. Walk us through the process of how you make your drums.
Sure. So we'd have a little discussion, unless you're just buying one that we've got on our website from one of our series. If you were like building a custom thing, we talk about, the type of wood you want to use, maple, birch, babinga, walnut, cherry, whatever, or a metal snare drum, aluminum, brass, chrome over steel, these kinds of things. We talk about size, the type of hardware you want. Some people love tube lugs. I love tube lugs. I think they just look super cool. And then other people, aren't a fan, so they'll go with a different style. Do you want die-cast rims? Do you want, triple flanged rims? Just kind of get all the specifics, because that's where all the the cost comes in, is with the materials. Then we talk about, how do you want it finished? Maybe you're just like, I just want it to be green. Like, okay, cool, we can make a green drum. Or maybe you're like this customer that we're working on drum for now, who's like, can you do this really cool, elaborate thing that we're not going to talk about until we have pictures of it to show everybody? And be like, yeah. And then we'd have to get a quote from our artist, because he does that stuff. Then once we agree on what it's going to be, and you're okay with the price and you pay us, then I order the materials that we need. So your shell comes to us. Let's say you're doing a 10-ply maple or any wood. It would come to us just as a shell, nothing done to it. We would sand it. We'd cut the bearing edges, map it out, drill it, finish it, unless the artist is doing it, and then assemble it and send it to you at that point. So it's well, it takes a lot longer than that, but that was a really quick explanation of what we do. But we've got the process down to where it's as precise as it has been, but faster. Just the tools to do it with is what makes the difference. And the same thing with metal. The metal, of course, we order a metal shell. It comes with bearing edges and snare beds. Oh, that's the other thing too. We sand out the snare beds. So the metal drums come with all that done, and then we drill, customize, all that stuff. But yeah, it's super cool. And then that didn't sound like a really good way to sell it, but it's exciting. It's exciting to hear like you give us an idea, and then we kick the creative part of it back and forth until you're like, that's it. That's how I want it. And then to watch your vision materialize out of almost nothing, and then to have a customer go, holy crap, this is amazing. Our friend Joey Clark, who's a phenomenal drummer as well, he as well as these other people, he's like, yeah, dude, this is my go-to snare now. Like, I love this thing. And we did like a hand done, like a by hand sparkle finish, like on his kit. So it's not a wrap. We poured glitter on it, and it looked amazing. And that's it's a totally different look than like a wrap sparkle, and it's still got some texture to it because you don't want to melt the glitter. But yeah, so it's a pretty easy process in terms of you wanting to purchase a drum from us. Even if you purchased one of the ones that we've designed, like one of the ones we just finished up is called the 413 Tito. It's a 6x13 10-ply maple with brass hardware. Everything we do Evans heads and pure sound wires unless somebody requests otherwise. But if you call that and ordered that, we don't have them sitting on a shelf collecting dust that we're going to send you. You're going to get like one that's not been played except for me to tune it. So everything is built to order, even if it's one of our designs.
That's pretty cool. Did you ever do like a percussion kind of set? The reason I ask, I've always thought those sets. Do you know the metal band Slipknot at all?
Yeah.
They had the two guys who had the percussion set. I guess it was like timpanis and I guess there's beer cans on the side that they abused the hell out of with their baseball bats and everything. Did you ever try something like that?
Man, I've played like percussion before. Never had the privilege of having a beer keg and a baseball bat. I feel like that would create some weird vibrations through your body, like, and hurt. But I do know. In fact, my wife Loretta introduced me to Slipknot. We got together, and she's like, "This is my angry music." And Loretta's this sweet, pretty quiet person, unless you get to know her. But like, she's like, "This is my angry music."
It's like plays the Heretic anthem, and you're like 555 to the 666.
Yeah, you're like, "Holy crap, this is pretty heavy."
Oh my gosh, it's the devil.
But she's like, "That's a beer keg. He's hitting a beer keg." I'm like, "What? That's amazing." I've done stuff like auxiliary percussion, where there's been a drummer on set, and then I'm playing, bongos, congas, shakers, tambourines. Which, growing up in church, also you develop a loathing of the tambourine unless it's played by somebody on stage who knows how to keep time. So yeah, it's the tambourine in the hands of an untrained professional, 30 feet away from you, and the sound travel issue is just, well, it's hell on on your ears and on your trying to keep time. And but at any rate, but yeah, so stuff like that. And I did get an opportunity one time, which is kind of funny and surreal, and probably a lot of people don't know who this person is unless they grew up listening to him. But the artist's name was Carmen, and he was a big Christian entertainer at the time, and he recently passed away, which is sad. He wasn't super old, but anyway, he was playing at a church in Knoxville, Tennessee, and our music pastor at the time, that was his home church. And so he's like, "Hey man, they've asked if we can fill out the band for Carmen." And I'm like that Carmen, because of course I grew up, listening to all that stuff. He was one of those artists, not an influential artist for me, but I could probably still sing some of his songs by heart. And so I was like, "Cool, man." So I played percussion, for that, and they even liked me. I thought it was just going to be for looks, And but it was fun to play for a couple thousand people, 2 nights in a row, and it was cool. He didn't bother to learn my name. But he called me Julio, because I guess I was playing percussion, and I guess that means he thought it sounded good, you know. But
I guess I did something right.
yeah, so that's good. He thought I had enough Latino in me to to be, because why is that a thing? Well, I guess because some of those instruments come from Latin America, and then that's why he assumed that. Because I was like, that's kind of racist of him to assume that. But it was fun. It was fun anyway, and I like to play a shaker, you know, from time to time, because it just gives a different feel to that rhythm, you know. But nothing, obviously, nothing. All that to say, nothing on the level of Slipknot, and also Joey, rest in peace.
Yeah, Joey Jordison. Yeah.
And phenomenal drummer. Of course, I'm not familiar with the breadth of their work or his work, but I've heard his work, and it's like, I told Loretta when she asked if she could start picking songs, I'm like, you can't pick Slipknot because I'm not that good. Like, there's no way I can play what they're playing. So, like, oh man.
Suppose one of these days we can try to give it a try during one of our drum collaborations.
Oh, that would
That's a
be,
boy.
yeah. I mean, it'd be fun to try. I'm just like, it's intimidating, you know. And there's so many layers, and then just, you know, I can't remember who took over for Joey after he left the band, but like
Jay Weinberg, I think his name is.
that's fine. I did know that. Thank you, but I couldn't think of it. But anyway, but man, yeah, just those guys are monsters on the kit. I mean, it's impressive. It's intimidating. Like I said, you know, I listen to it, and maybe I have too low of an opinion of myself, but you hear guys like that play, and you just go, I'll never be that. There's no way I would ever be that good. But I don't know.
I know I did one from Napalm Death, one of the heavier metal acts, and one of the songs I did was Unfit Earth, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go out there, I'm just gonna try it. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything.
Yeah.
It really stinks too when people criticize you for it too afterwards. You get those trolls who come on there. Do you get those too on some of your videos?
I've really been pretty fortunate. I've not had any that I got upset over. I have had a couple people give me some, like, I guess they thought it was constructive criticism. Like, one guy was like, "You need to work on your buzz roll, dude." So I always try to be, of course, like, anytime we're criticized as artistic people, I think our first instinct is to be like, "Who do you think you are?" You know. But I always try to respond with like, "Hey man, thanks for the, you know, the constructive feedback. How can I improve that? Like, what's a good way to improve?" And then you never hear back from them, nor can you find any videos of those people playing drums anywhere. And I think, like, the way we do our covers too, man, I'll rehearse and we'll do a couple takes, but I only use one take. So, like, it's live. If something goes off the rails and I don't want to do it again, that's how it's gonna.
That's how it's gonna
That's
sound.
how it's gonna sound. You know. So, but yeah, it's unfortunate, and there are some people that, like, could give me, that I've developed relationships with over doing the Dramatic, that we talk on the phone, etc. And they could call me up and be like, "Hey man, have you thought about doing this? This will really improve this and that." And I'd be like, "Cool, man, thanks," because I respect the crap out of them as musicians, you know, and they're interested in my betterment, not just making themselves feel better, you know. And but unsolicited criticism is, from people you don't know, is a bummer, and especially if you say something in your description like, "Hey man, this is the first time I played this. I just put it out there. It's far from perfect, but I had a lot of fun." And then somebody's like, "Oh, that wasn't very perfect." Well, yeah, no kidding, buddy. I just said that. You know, I said that. They're not reading. They're like watching a clip and then deciding that you need their 2 cents.
Yeah.
I always try to be, you know, you watch enough YouTube channels, everybody's in a different place in their journey, right? So you have some people that are like crazy amazing and some people that are learning, you know, and everybody in between. And I'm like in that in between spot. I will never criticize somebody. If they messaged me privately and said, "Hey, Give me some feedback. What can I do to improve? Now you've opened up a whole different type of relationship. I'll be happy to help you with that. And it's never from a point of because I think I'm so good. It's because we're all learning. We're all always in a. If we stop learning, then we need to check our attitude, because then I think we've become unapproachable and think we don't have anything else to learn, and that's a dangerous place to be. But yeah, I always try to leave encouraging comments, and encourage people because they've not invited me into their life to give them that criticism, and I don't really want it if I didn't ask for it either, like you were saying, But it's all, man, and it's so. I think doing YouTube, it is tough because there's so many good players out there to be like, I want this to be perfect, and then there's a certain amount of, but that's not real. Like even these phenomenal drummers that play out, they make mistakes live. They just know how to cover it better. So we might never notice it. But they're like, oh man, I came in, like a fraction of a beat early, and then I had to recompensate by a cymbal hit, but like they just, and you're like, dude, nobody noticed. Like, I promise it was phenomenal. Like, but yeah, I don't, do you get a lot of those comments, or was that just kind of like an exception?
It was more for the Napalm Death covers that I did compared to like everything else. And I know Unfit Earth had a couple. I did If the Truth Be Known was the other one. And fortunately, YouTube allows us to like just remove those comments off. Something like I'm not putting up with these guys. And I just went on there. I'm not seeing any videos. They have like a couple subscribers. I almost wanted to just be like, I don't see any videos. I don't see you telling me like how you did it. So who are you to judge? That sort of thing. But I've heard no drama. Let's just delete this comment and just move on and see if anybody else comes on.
Agreed. I think that's it. Like, you do open yourself up to a certain amount of it when you put yourself out there for the world, and I understand that. And I'm not the kind of person that in my life I just want people like if I ask you for your opinion, I really want your honest opinion. Like, I'm not asking for you to inflate my ego. I'm asking because I want to improve. But it's annoying when people don't have any, like, if you went to their channel and they were like Dave Weckl and you're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, you would be like, okay, this guy could, even though I didn't ask him, like, he can at least back it up, with,
he has something to back it up with.
So, and, but it just becomes kind of an egotistical thing to start criticizing and correcting people. And and some stuff is taste, and it's just, subjective. It's not, we can all agree if somebody's not on beat, but like, and then within that context though, then there's like, oh, I didn't like the way that hi-hat pattern he was playing. Well, doesn't mean it was the wrong hi-hat pattern or a bad hi-hat pattern. I would have just played it different. Well, there's no need to point that out. Like, who cares? Who cares? I love to celebrate other people. Like, let them, if you and I played the same song, it's not going to sound the same because we're very different, musicians, and we're going to approach it with our personality and our tastes and likes in mind. So that was a long answer to your question.
I know, yeah. You're definitely quite a talker, too. That's actually good, too. Because we're actually nearing an hour, actually, but we still got a couple good questions here.
Oh, okay. I'll stop talking so much.
No. Keep going. This is good. Okay, let's see. Do you have any competitors in your business? Or is it kind of like anyone who does something similar, or maybe some of the bigger drum companies who perhaps have like a factory and stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess there's all kinds of people out there like that have been doing it a lot longer, obviously, than we have. We've just started within the year. SJC is a great company that's out there building custom stuff. They got a cool roster with some killer drummers, Trey Cool and Josh Dunn from 21 Pilots, and they're out there. Pork Pie does some great custom stuff. You get into the really higher end, you've got, Noble and Cooley and Craviato and, places like that. I feel like right now I don't even want to, it sounds like ridiculously like over the top to even compare, but what we're trying to do is probably more similar right now to what SJC is doing, where it's offering people the ability to customize, a drum, and instead of just going, well, here are my options, the sky's the limit, and you call us. You're only limited by your imagination and your budget. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing holding back from you having a drum that literally nobody else in the world has. But it's eventually, our goal, our long-term goal, is to, at least it's in the thought process, but it might not be financially, doable. But we'd like to, be making our own shells. Although, Keller and Nordic make amazing shells, and right now that also allows the turnaround time to be shorter too. But yeah, I guess I don't look at it. I'm not trying to compete with SJC. They've got their own corner. I just want to try to make the best snare drums that we can make. Although I would love to have somebody say this is as good as or better than my SJC custom snare drum.
This is better
but at the end of the day, I just want people. Yeah,
That's
right.
better
Yeah.
than my wife
Oh,
makes.
this is better than. Yeah, that's so funny. That's exactly right. I did have one of our one of the people that bought one of our snare drums did say, which blew my mind because again, low self-esteem. He said, and it's on the website because it was amazing. He said I would hold this snare up against any of my Black Panther snares, and I was like, cool. They make a Marvel Hero snare drum. No, I'm kidding.
They probably do,
I want a Black Panther snare. That's awesome.
especially in honor of Chris Bozeman too. Rest in peace, buddy. Too.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what an amazing performer. What a sad.
Yeah.
Somebody gone too soon again, and what a great legacy he left behind. It was just fantastic. And not saying this just because we're talking about it, but like Black Panther is probably one of my favorite of the more recent Marvel movies. So good, and it didn't just feel like the same stuff with a different hero, and the culture they brought to it was really good. Anyway, we could talk for another hour about movies. Because that's one of our hobbies is we love watching film. But yeah, so I'm not really trying to compete. But at the end of the day, if we got big enough and SJC wanted to buy us out, that'd be a pretty cool place to be, right?
You're a millionaire.
Yeah, these guys are doing really good work. Let's buy their company. And I'd be like, oh, slow down, SJC.
Give you $20 million for it.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, you're going to have to knock a little harder than that. Because I love doing it, right? It's like, I want to get to the point, like I do a 9 to 5. I want to get to the point where this is full-time income. Right? Because I literally love the process.
This is your legit job.
Yeah, right. That's what I want this to be is it's the passion job, taking customer service calls, thankful for that job, thankful for the company. They're a good company. And I'm thankful that I get to I work over here. I'm thankful I get to spin over to this computer, design t-shirts, price out drums, do quotes, catch up on YouTube comments. Not every job allows that kind of freedom. Of course, if any of my managers are watching this, I only do that stuff after all the offline work is done and all that stuff. But yeah, so hopefully, I feel like I'm not one to send out something that's second rate. So like, if I'm not happy with it, I will spend money on a new shell to do it again, to get it right. So at the end of the day, the quality that's going out is certainly on par, with an SJC and their custom built stuff. Every drum that we build, I'm building by hand, minus the shaping the shell, right? But it's the finishing, the drilling, the bearing edge cutting, all those important elements. We're doing at our shop. So
it is funny that going back to your point with COVID too. And this goes back to our earlier point where we were talking about how everyone just wanted to be closed indoors and that kind of stuff. They didn't want to like be approachable both physically and metaphorically. I know it's kind of happened with me too. I find myself not being as interactive with strangers, so it kind of made me a bit more of an introvert. I guess, how bad did COVID affect your business and I guess personally too?
Yeah, sure. So when we moved down here, our big plan was to Loretta had a job. We were both working for the same company. She got a job doing sales for that company, so that was good. We had in Kentucky, we had a little media business, doing promo videos for folks, and we did a couple music videos, and I enjoyed it, but never as much as I've enjoyed music. So, but when we came down here, man, I went hardcore trying to push that business. I was running around town talking to business owners and creating promo materials, all this stuff. And COVID happened, and all of that just crapped out. And so, in the meantime, we decided to get the drum attic started, get that up and running, and we found our passion there. Of course, drums has always been a passion, but it positively affected us because it put the kibosh on the business that I really wouldn't want to be doing all the time. I use all those skills with what we do, but it's more fun to do it for our stuff instead of somebody else. Um, but it really, when it really, see, COVID was weird for us because other than shutting that business idea down, we didn't know this, but it was the last year we would have with my dad. And we live next door to them. And by next door, I mean 300 yards away. They're both farm properties. And so we had a lot of stuff to do as we were moving in. So we had a lot of extra time with dad, which was awesome. So, everybody's like, 2020 sucked. I'm like, 2021 sucked more for us. Like we lost dad at the beginning of the year. And then it was like we had health scares with my mom and with Loretta's mom. And we're like, bring back the COVID, But it did with my anxiety. I went out with dad. He had to go to Lowe's, made sure he's masked up because he was like 85. And so, it's easy to kind of be like, and he loves dogs. So it's easy for him to get distracted and not worry about his personal safety. So I would stand in the register. I was standing between him and other customers. So he had his 6 feet, and this stupid guy, and I typically am a people person. Like I like people, but not like this. Like this guy was like right behind me. Like I could almost feel him there. I could feel him breathing and hear him breathing
Down your neck and everything.
Oh yeah. So I turn around and I was like, "Hey man, back up. Give me my 6 feet." Well, which didn't help because he was a jerk. So he was like, "I'm just going to be a bigger jerk." And I never used to be like this with people, but when your health is like in jeopardy, or at least you think it is, or whatever, you're like, you pay more attention to that. Plus, I don't like people in my space like that. And so he got closer and was talking on his phone really loud. Like he was like right behind my head, So I turned around and I swore at him. I cussed him out. And as we were walking out, Dad goes, "Maybe we shouldn't take you out in public anymore." I was like, "Maybe not." But that guy was being a butt. So, and it certainly affected, I think, the way that my anxiety in public for sure. I don't like it when stuff's really busy and I feel like people are, this. So I think that kind of got magnified with COVID. But fortunately, my wife and I literally love being together. So, in the whole time we've been together, for all but like a couple months, we've worked at the same place. So we're in the car together, we're at home together, we're at work together, and now we both work from home in the same office. And so I think that if we didn't like that, because I know for COVID it was a stressor for some people's relationships. To like, oh my God, we're together all the time, and we're like, literally nothing's different for us. Like this is how our life has been for the last X years, And now it's just it's official. So this is good for us. But we got to do a lot of outdoor stuff, so it wasn't nothing just like anxiety in public. It really didn't change much for Loretta and I. It's been, pretty much the same. So, what about you? Did it make a difference for what you do?
I actually had to work. Let's see, that started back in March 2020. So I worked down at the bank, and I started actually working from home. And I never worked from home at that time, and so it was kind of a new thing, kind of getting into it and everything. And it's almost going on 2 years, and we're finally going back into the office and everything. So, it was
Yeah.
weird at first, but then afterwards it became so much better because one, you don't have to worry about paying for a parking lease anymore. You're not worrying about gas, even though it's almost going to be like $5 a gallon now.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on that. Holy crap!
I'm such an idiot.
Start using our own oil.
I know, yeah, but we'll put that off to the side.
That's another. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we'll save that for part two. But it gave me opportunities to jump in on YouTube, and it also gave me the idea to actually start this podcast. It came a lot later, like 2021, and I was being lazy and stupid at the same time. I kind of kept putting things off because, one, I was kind of getting tired, and then I picked up a second job working in the restaurant industry for a little bit, and that was good for supplemental income, and it helped cover expenses and everything. And I think the best thing was it really allowed me to stay home with my parents too. So I'm happily to say I'm happily single. I live with my parents. I don't have too many expenses. My car's paid off and everything. I don't have a mortgage. So I'm able to save and everything, even though the market can be volatile and affect my 401k and I guess all the stuff I put into savings or whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm still comfortable in a good position. I consider myself the lucky one, or at least many people call it the lucky ones, and that's actually a short story I was writing about it. Like I said, COVID allowed me to expand and like try some other hobbies out and see where it got me, see if it became
Nice.
something new. So it was good. At the same time, it makes me not want to go back into the office, even though we're only
Yeah.
going in once a week. So we're fortunate there. So
Oh, that's good.
it's only once a week. So the good news is I don't have to pick up my lease. I could just do the parking ticket, which they probably bumped up a couple dollars because I know the one I had originally parked in was doing some construction. So I think they had to bump up the price a little bit. So it'd be interesting to see when we go back in next week. So that's at least my story, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. I love how you've that the time being home and has allowed you to explore those creative outlets. I think that's super cool. I think a lot of people have similar stories. Working from home or not being able to work has given them the time and the opportunity to go, I've always wanted to scrapbook, or I've always wanted to, play the guitar. As so people are learning new artistic, expressions. And I think that's super cool because you said you were writing a short story. That's awesome.
I actually wrote a couple, and one was actually an idea that my mom passed on to me. She'll give her the more truer version. Mine was kind of slightly edited to make it, I guess, more appealing and stuff like that.
Nice.
It's still in the works, but I sent it off to get edited and everything. I'm hoping to have them published soon. So make sure everybody
Nice.
keeps an eye out.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Are you do you have a publisher or are you self-publishing?
I'm gonna try a couple methods. I think one of the stories I'll do self-publishing. The other one was something my sister had told me. It was a web novel, or I guess some apps that kind of work similar to how that app works, and see what that does. I guess the way a web novel works is, I guess if you're able to post a story on there, you get a good amount of views and everything. I guess you'll earn a steady income that way. I think it's based on views and then how long they're reading it. I don't think it's like you physically get an electric copy or the physical copy of the book as compared to like Amazon, which probably does it through their Kindle or something. I'm still kind of like learning that stuff too, but I'm trying to at least get to the phase where, okay, it's finalized, it's all edited and everything. How can we publish it? That sort of thing. So
Nice. Well, I did one of the projects I had started working on in Lexington before we moved here was, and I finished it here. was I had been writing a book about the journey of, losing my son and kind of telling his story and my story. And this is why I asked you, because I self-published through Amazon, which I mean, I've sold a couple books, but it's great because they let you, you can buy, your copies, author copies at cost, and they do you get an order of proof, so you can make sure that you don't need to make any changes, to how it's being laid out. But it's pretty cool. That's also on Amazon. It's called My Thoughts from the Storm. You can also get it on Kindle. Yeah.
But yeah, the two stories, just to give you like my titles. One was The Bracelet. That was the one my mom gave me. And then the other one was The Lucky Ones. That one has like a little story, COVID related too. There's a little bit of interesting story, so I won't spoil anything just yet.
Yeah, no, I'd rather read it. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Very cool. Very cool. I hope that works out for you. I'm excited.
I don't know if you answered this, but did you say like how you adapt when COVID hit? I guess when it first hit, and then like even still then, because I think we're in the descending phases of Omicron and everything. I guess did you say like how you adapted?
So, also, don't you think Omicron sounds like a transformer, like from the 80s? Like,
it actually does sound like what was that? I'm trying to remember like the real big one. He was like the real big meanie guy, the guy who was like devouring planets and stuff like that.
Yeah, Unicron.
Unicron, that's it. There.
Oh, I know. I own that movie on Blu-ray. You're welcome.
Well, actually, I watched the animated series. I guess I don't know if it was Toonami or what was it? I think it was Toonami, but it might have been like the late night cartoon shows, or it was like late evening cartoons. It was something like that.
Yeah. See, I mean, I grew up on that one in G.I. Joe. Like, I grew up on that stuff. And I've toyed around with buying like the series, but then I'm like, this will be nostalgic for like one episode, and then I'll be like, oh my god, I have to watch how much of this to make it worth my money, So like, because it's happened to me so many times with stuff from my childhood that I loved, and then I go to watch it, and you're like, well, this was awesome when I was 10, but it's not really that good, Like, and you're like, well, I don't want to spend an hour watching this movie, or what are 2 hours. But so your question was
yeah.
before I derailed us with the Transformers, was how did we adapt? Yeah, man, because everything we started doing with the Dramatic was already like COVID precautions are kind of built in because we weren't interacting with anybody other than our family, and because the business didn't plan out, we although we did do one video for a guy in town who's a really great guy, masked up and did that, but everything else, man, working from home, we were just, when we'd go out, that was the only time. So it didn't really, and even now, like, our business doesn't really have to adapt or have COVID precautions in place because we currently don't have a storefront. And we don't have, we're just an online, business. So, never have to interact with somebody in actual physical proximity of each other, which probably wouldn't bother me if I did, but.
All right. I guess we're down to the last couple questions here. So, is there anything that you want to talk about specifically with drums? Because I think we can have a good number of conversations with pretty much everything else.
We can talk about movies. We can talk about Transformers, about the price of oil in Russia or whatever. Why are we getting oil from Russia? Drum wise, let's see here. Yeah, I'll just shamelessly plug what we're doing. Which I know you'll include links to all this and stuff. But like, yeah, check out the Dramatic. We're really excited about what we've got going on in there, and we're always trying to do fun and creative stuff. This month of March, I don't know when this is airing, but if not, go back and watch it. There will be a playlist. We're calling it CCM month. So like, I'm going back and I'm playing 5, which were hard to pick out, throwback, like contemporary Christian music songs. So we just released the first one this last week. So it's been a lot of fun. We've got some cool collaborations coming up. We've got our the Backbeat series, which we've had a lot of fun working on, and the Dramatic may be moving into a new space, so that's exciting. And then, of course, man, Attic Custom Drums. If you know your viewers are, just go check it out. Go to atticcustomdrums.com. Read a little bit about what we're doing. Some of our drums are on there. All of them are on there. And we've got some cool stuff coming down the pike with that too.
Your recent Backbeat episode, was that the one with Ash Wells?
Yeah, the most recent one was with Ash Wells, and we did one with Martin Bellamy from MB Drums, and then one with my drum teacher Paul Stowell. That was our first one. We've gotten such a good response from it. We're like, okay, cool, yeah, let's do that. So I'm excited, and it's fun. Like just like this, it's fun to talk to people and get connected beyond just like Instagram messaging, or Facebook Messenger, and to see face to face and have the closest thing to an in-person conversation as you can have without being in the same room.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Last question for you. So, do you have a message you want to give to drummers out there as we're slowly clawing out of Omicron and everything, kind of like getting somewhere back to normal, if we want to even call it normal anymore? I guess anyone who perhaps wants to take a similar path you're taking or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. My advice is stay in school. Don't do drugs, kids.
The DARE program.
That's right. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to kind of paraphrase something I heard Kenny Aronoff say in his interview with Drumman 190. If you want to do it, make your own opportunities. With our channel, like, we love to see growth. It's exciting, and we're going to give away a snare when we hit 1,000 subscribers, all that stuff. But really, we love doing it. And at the end of the day, that's what it has to be for anybody that's out there playing. If you don't love it, who cares how many subscribers you have? It doesn't matter, because it's not going to. It's what's fulfilling about it is doing something you love to do and sharing that with the world. So yeah, make your own opportunities. Nobody's going to ask you to start a channel for them, so do it for you. And like with the drum thing, like, nobody said, hey, build me a snare drum, and with anything artistic or anything business or whatever it is that you're passionate about, don't wait for somebody to ask you to do it. It's going to take a little bit of, one of my granddad used to say, a little bit of elbow grease, a little bit of wherewithal and sacrifice to make it happen. But if you're passionate about it, be willing to put in the time, be willing to put in the hard work, whether that's, a YouTube channel or, starting a business of any kind. Like, I'm new to that. Like, I'm a creative person, so learning all this business stuff is hard, and
especially YouTube too, when you're first like starting out and you're thinking like, okay, I posted a video, let's see how many views I get, and maybe only a couple days goes by and you only get like one view and stuff like that.
Yeah, and nobody cares because because it's hard until you're part of that algorithm. Like, it is hard. So in terms of a YouTube channel, my advice would be this: don't be discouraged. And don't make your expectations realistic. Don't be like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and then post a video and then quit because you didn't get 1 million views in a week.
Yeah.
Stick to it. And consistency is the biggest key to that game too. Consistency and being a nice person and engaging other channels. Like, you won't be able to engage everybody. It's impossible. But I've found that, like, a growth for us in a month is directly proportionate to how much I'm able to interact. and how many new drummers I'm able to find. Um, and I've watched other channels, and the trend that I've noticed, with exceptions, I'm sure, um, there's a couple channels that I've watched that are the engaged people, um, off, not just in their video, but like going out and finding channels and, hey, great job, love it, and them, it kind of becomes a reciprocating thing. But I've watched people that do that have grown far more over like the last year, let's say. Ash Wells is a great example of that. Um, we both hit 300 subscribers around the same time, and now he's knocking on 1,000, and we're trying to get to 700. Um, but he's also talking with him. He's like a machine about how he does his, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, like, he's got a system to how he puts it out, which is really cool. And he's a really smart guy, the way he's promoting his channel. Um, but then I've watched other channels that have had similar viewership as we did at the time I started watching them. They'll respond to my comments, but I never see them on our channel. I don't ever see their name floating around on somebody else's channel. So, like, let's say we were both at 100 subscribers, at the beginning of the year. I've gone back and checked in. We're almost at 700, and they're just breaking 150 or 200. Well, and that's okay if all they want to do is just put their videos out there. There's no problem with that. You don't have to try to grow your channel, right? Like, you don't have to do it if it's just a hobby for you. But if you're trying to connect with a larger audience, you need to engage the community. We have an amazing drumming community on YouTube. It's like phenomenal. And I don't want to start mentioning names because I'll leave people out, and I don't want to do that. But everybody always cites Drumman 190, and if you watch him, one of the things that he is great about doing, I don't know where he has the time, but is, I don't think there's ever been a video of ours since he found us, that he's not watched and commented on. And he does that with so many people. And that's part of what's made the community grow. And so, like, but yeah, I think that's the biggest key. But then you've got to be consistent with your videoing, with your video stuff. And so many people did this over COVID. They were creating so much content that there was no way anybody could keep up with it all. Like, I'm going to do a drum cover a day. You're like, listen, man, I cannot watch that much stuff. Like, that's cool. But then they get back to work, and their channel just completely languishes because they set an unrealistic or an unachievable goal when life returned to normal. So our goal is we release a drum cover every week. The backbeat, any kind of bonus videos or shorts, that's the stuff that gets shelved if we get too busy. You know what I mean? But you'll always have a drum cover, and so do that. It's like, even if it's once a month, I'm going to do a cover once a month, and then consistently do that. But you got to do it because you love it. I hope that answers your question. Be consistent.
Absolutely.
Be engaging, and do it because you love it, not for any other reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I kind of mind just doing like once a week drum covers, that sort of thing too. And I try sparsing it out, like try doing 3 videos a week and see how it goes, because I sometimes pull clips from like these podcast episodes if it's something important.
Yeah.
I would say people, but at least one of my interviewees, what they have to say, and see if it applies to people's lives too. So
cool. Yeah.
And I also did see Drumman 190. His is 5 Strokes at 5. That's his little podcast he does where he interacts with other drummers in and around, I guess, the world, or I don't know if he keeps it strictly with the States, but that's where this whole idea came from. And I'm hoping to expand it so I can include like other people who are perhaps playing other instruments or doing something similar to what you're doing. Maybe they're creating their own guitars and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that's really what I want to do. I want to expand it a little bit more. Try to, I don't want to say like, I don't know, the guy that takes all the credit and stuff like that, but at the same time, I love when you accomplish something big and it feels invigorating. And I think at that point, you just want to make sure it doesn't like affect you up here where it ends up creating like some sort of narcissism or something like that. So
Right. Like, do you know who I am? kind of
It's that ego.
mentality. Yeah. I think that's just, it's tough because YouTube, when you're trying to grow your channel, it's all about numbers.
Yeah.
Like you're watching, you want to know how many people are commenting and how many people are watching and where they're coming from. Um, but if you start valuing your content and yourself based solely on numbers, then you know, like you do this because you enjoy talking with other people and kind of seeing what they've got going on, right?
Yeah.
So you'd still do it if you had 1 million subscribers or, one subscriber just because you love doing it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And but yeah, that's it's tough. And I get like that too. Like I'll be like, oh man, that video, and I've kept myself from falling into this trap too. It's like I did the same song and they got 1,000 views and I only got 200 views. And like I, and I don't like it when my brain does that because I really try to celebrate, other people's victories. A friend of mine just hit 4,000 subscribers today.
Yeah.
And dude, I would have, if we had lived in the same state, I would have thrown a party for him because that's exciting. I mean, and he's worked hard, to build his viewership, and it's just anyway. But yeah, it's easy to kind of get into like a competitive or well, my cover got 1,000 views and there's only, like,
Yeah,
and that's
that sort
just
of thing.
a bad headspace to be in because, especially in a community, because like I can genuinely say that even though I want my channel to grow, I get excited when I see, other channels who, people that I'm friends with, or even just on YouTube. Like I get excited when
Yeah.
good things happen for them.
Yeah, I would say it's more of a fun competition. That's what I want to keep telling myself too. It's like if I see somebody like Drum Man who has like more like close to 8,000 subscribers, probably getting close.
Yeah.
It's more like, all right, I want to compete with him, but let's do it fun. Let's see how we could do something different, perhaps
Mhm.
something that was inspired by him, but we
Yeah.
try to do it better and we do something different and then see where it goes and just try to friendly compete with him and then maybe poke some jokes at him and stuff like that later.
Right.
Well, that's how I do my friendship too. But like when I start to get to know people, I might, kind of make a dry humor kind of joke stuff like that too. And then just like,
Yeah.
but then that means I care about you. I think you're a good friend, and that's what I want to do. And when I'm
Yeah.
teasing you, it means that I love you. I don't want to try to be
Yeah.
like a bully or something like that. So
And I'm comfortable with it. I totally get that. Like when you said, "Are you a mob boss?" to me, I was like, "Cool." Brian's comfortable.
well, I just saw all those rings too. I'm thinking like, well, I know he's not using it as like a or what they call a 5-finger death punch or the brass knuckles and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm more of a lover, not a fighter. Though there've been a couple times in my life that somebody might have gotten a verbal tongue, a tongue lashing
Yeah.
from me. But yeah, no, man, it's cool. I love it, and I love what you're doing. You keep doing this. I think this is such a cool thing, and it is. It's what you've done is, like with our backbeat thing, you know, doing interviews is not a new idea. Like that's been around for centuries, right? Like in other forms, but it's taking an idea that you like and going, how can I make this uniquely Brian? How is this my thing? And that's what you have to do, right?
Oh
Even
yeah.
drummers, they'll take a lick they learn from a great drummer and then make it their own. And it's like, oh, did you hear that? That's amazing. And he's like, totally stole that from Buddy Rich. That's a Buddy
Yeah.
Rich lick.
Yeah, that thing. Uh well, I don't think I have any more questions. I guess was there anything else you wanted to add real quick before we wrap up?
Man, just thank you. I'm honestly like honored and just humbled that anybody cares what we're doing and they would want to talk to me about anything at all. So I appreciate you having me on your show. I really means a lot.
No worries. And I think I got some other ideas, and I think I'll DM you, kind of see if you're up for it too.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So, all right, ladies and gents, this was the All Music Matters in That podcast. My host today was Eric Henninger. Did I say it right this time?
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Eric Henninger. There we go. All right. He's AKA Dramatic. Make sure you check him out. Make sure you support him. Show him some love and everything. All right. Eric, thank you so much for coming on and everything. God bless you too, man. Stay safe and stay tuned.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Take care.